What's going on, everyone? This is Matt Squeaky Clean Air. All right, today we're doing a pretty interesting one. I have a 2024 Tiguan R line, not the Tiguan R that they have in Europe, unfortunately, but I have the Tiguan R line, High line. And today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be changing the front emblem. So my car comes with a light bar in the front. However, the emblems are not lit up. Only the Atlases in 2024, I guess in 2025 models have the front emblem lit up. I know the new Tiguan, brand new Tiguan, which I think looks pretty bad. It looks like a wide mouth mason with a whale front end. I can't. The front end of that car looks like shit. Sorry. I'm going to stick to my third generation Tiguan or 2.5, whatever, with the facelift, the one that we all love. Anyways, yeah, so that one comes, I think, with the front lit emblem and the rear emblem, but our generation unfortunately didn't. It came with a light bar. However, I am installing an aftermarket one that lights up. So check out the process. I'm going to be using my Meta glasses for this because it'll just be easier for me to work with my hands. So stay tuned. All right, so I got my kit. I will put the link later on in the video where I got my my emblem. But essentially what it is, it comes in a box. It comes with the control module, which is over here. The emblem itself is right here. There's two types. They have one that lights up fully in here, or they have one that lights up on the perimeters. Unfortunately, well, it's not as nice as the factory one where it has the chrome, but I guess you can inlay the chrome eventually for it to look like that. We're going to try it out. There isn't really a video that shows how to pop these off, so that's what I'm really doing that. This is the OEM emblem, and I like how they're rounded compared to the aftermarket one, which lights up. But this one will light up and it will complement the light bar a lot nicer. But when you guys are removing the factory emblem, it has little tabs inside that you have to push in. So usually the top ones are very, very hard. You kind of have to slide in and put a screwdriver in there. And as you loosen up the top ones, you guys will be able to loosen up the side ones that are right here. And then the whole emblem will pop out. The beauty with knowing how to remove this emblem is that you can get into the laser radar module, which is hidden right behind the grill right here. So it exposes it through, and then what you could do is you can run the wire behind and basically clip in the new emblem into here. And these are the crevices for it to go through. One thing that I've noticed on the new emblem is the new emblem has it's the same kind of tabs. So I'm going to pop it in because it's starting to rain, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to run the wire through behind the grill right here beside the laser module, and then we'll be able to connect it through later. Let me see if I can fish it out. I should be able to fish it out. Okay, it'll go right on the side. Here we go. We'll press it in. Bang, simple, just clips in. Nice and neat. Doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit different looking compared to the factory emblem, but you know what, actually it updates the look really nicely. Wow, that kind of looks way better than the factory one. Will make the car stand out. It's raining right now, so I'm going to continue on hooking this emblem up, but this emblem will hook up into this fuse box right here. So we're going to get the power from the fuse box, but I'm going to take a break right now. So I'm going to be using a black RTV silicone. I like using it for sealing a lot of the sort of connections from the back. Like I used these for my puddle lights on the GS a while ago, and I bought a whole box of these. But what happens is usually the connections in the back are really poor and really weak and exposed. So a little bit of this seals it all up, and it keeps the moisture from degrading these. Now they also have a tendency to sort of like water will seep in through here because the sealing quality is not the best. I mean, you're getting like 20 for $5. So don't expect miracles, right? But these are high intensity LEDs, and because they're sort of like a projection LED, it creates a really nice puddle effect. So these are also really good for puddle lights. And what's really nice about them, if you cut a 3/8 inch hole, you can pop them in inside of your side skirt, and they just kind of just sit there because they got the retainers. But the problem with these is the box leak. So we're going to employ the same idea using this RTV that I got from Home Depot in order to seal that control box for the Emblem. So let me open this up, and it'll start to fill up, and that way it will be nice and sealed, and water will not seep in, because it doesn't look like the quality of the sealant over here is really good. So let me do that now. Oh yeah, much better. Just gonna dab it in there around, and that's all you really need. But you see, it's so much nicer. I'm gonna let this sit and dry because it takes a little bit of time, probably about an hour, and then we'll continue on once this is dry, and I'll run the connection wires into my fuse box, clean this up, and then whenever we turn on the car, it should turn on the Emblem with the light bar. I'm excited. Oh, also, when I put away my silicone, what I usually do is I found a screw that I screw in as tight as I can to the nozzle, and that, I mean, it will dry out the nozzle, but it will not dry out the whole tube, because it kind of limits air from going inside, so it kind of seals it. So then what happens is it'll pretty much dry out all the way up to here to the nozzle. So then later you can remove the tip. When you remove the tip, you're going to have a whole bunch of dried silicone in there that you can just shear off, and that will expose the undried silicone in there. But this is an old trick that I learned. I think it was on YouTube or something like that, on shorts, where you just basically put a screw in order to seal this up, to try to prevent as much air as you can going into it and drying it all out. It's always a gamble when you buy these, you know, and sometimes you don't need to use the whole tube. Oh, there you go. There's that silicone piece that came out of it. But it's always a gamble when you buy this whole tube, because eventually sometimes what will happen is the whole thing will dry out. But lately that I've been doing this for the last couple of years, only up to about here dries out, and I've had this for about a year now. So this will maybe hopefully allow you to prolong the silicone sealants within your arsenal. Like this one over here, see, it has a big bolt, and you can feel that it's still soft, so it's not dried out. So this one is a bigger opening, so I used a bigger sort of bolt into it. This one is not as big, so depending, but these have a tendency to sort of save your silicones, sealants and stuff like that. I always have one on top, whether strip adhesive sealants and stuff like that. These are good to have for any kind of like stuff that comes off, and then you're able to seal them back up. But we're going to give this a little bit of a time. We're going to let that sit because it's raining right now and I don't want to do any wiring. But I do like the look of the front Emblem. Actually, it's not too bad. It's growing on me. It's a kind of nice, upgraded, unique look compared to all the other ones. So it's not bad. It looked kind of weird out in the box because it doesn't have a nice sort of like a 3D flow as this one. But a flow emblem like that is cool. So I can't wait for it to light up with the light bar. It's a nice little upgrade. But stay tuned. All right. So it works really nicely. So I guess my tester was a dud because its light up's really cool. I have it running to the battery, and it's getting a positive wire there, and it's getting a ground wire. So I'm going to connect it up to the fuse that will trigger it when I need it, and then it'll light up. It looks really nice actually. So my tester is not working really the way it's supposed to. I gotta look at that tester, because going directly to the battery it works. Alright, so I'm going to shrink wrap it or heat it. You can use a heat gun, but I find this is a lot faster. Just be wary when you're using a torch. There you go. Alright, nice. And I'm going to put this to seal it through. And that's how you're supposed to be putting in wiring. Nice and a solid seal. The heat rub that I like to use has a silicone inner layer, as you guys can see in there. And what it is, it kind of fills up the gaps really nicely. It's different than the thinner stuff. But this will create a really, really nice seal that I can put underneath and will last for a while. So let me hide that and mount it. Run this through a nice place where I can put it is most likely, let's see if I can reach it underneath there so it doesn't get bound. I can put it in here and kind of sit it in there safely. I'm going to run it behind here. Put it to the side so it's not visible. Nice and clean. And then that way it's hidden out of the way. So I'm going to put the screws for the grill, secure it. So I rerouted it compared to the first video, and I connected it pointing the arrow towards the actual emblem as opposed to the other way around. So I guess when you guys get this kit, the arrow should point to the direction of the emblem, not the other way around. Let's see how long it lasts. Apparently there's 3-year warranty, so we'll see. If it lasts for a couple of years, it'll be okay. Then it lasted 3 years. Okay. So now this is nice and clean. Now just a matter of routing the wire in an inconspicuous way without getting in the way. Let's see. Probably underneath the headlights, away from any other wires. It is a shielded wire, so it should be okay. That's nice and clean. Just behind here. That's okay. Behind here. And then we're going to run the source from one of these fuses. So that could probably go behind here. We're going to run it behind the fuses. So we'll have it running around here, behind here, going to a top of fuse. So the one that they recommend to use is in this fuse box. There's a little tab that you gotta pull up on, and they recommend going to this 10M fuse over here. push them all in. I don't know why they're not pushed all the way in from the factory. So we can push all the fuses in so they have a nice solid connection. We're going to put a top of fuse in here and then run it out. So it uses standard fuses, surprisingly. You can get yourself one of these. 20 amp or 15 amp should be enough. And so I made a spade connector that's going to go outside of the fuse box and is going to connect into the positive wire. And we're going to source it from here by putting in the spade and kind of keeping it inside here nice and clean. And I'm going to run it through here, not too thick of a wire, that you're still able to put the fuse box connection over here to close it. So I'm going to close this up so you still have a pretty decent seal. Let's make sure that it's all the way in. All right, nice and tight, and that gives me a positive wire in order to connect up to here. And I'm going to use and fuse it with a positive supply wire. And then we're going to create the ground. And I like to use heat shrink connectors. So nice and clean. Nice and solid connection, which we're going to heat shrink. I'm going to tidy these up after so they're nice and clean out of the way. But I'm going to run my ground from there. So that's a 10 mil. I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to run an additional ground wire there. A nice solid ground, which we're going to use this. So let me do that. Grab 10 mil. Hopefully I don't lose the bolt. Or actually, no, that's a pretty good solid ground. Alright, so I ran one negative battery, my negative or my power supply, sorry, not power supply, but my ground. I ran it from this ground over here all the way through. It mates in here underneath the wire loom, which I kind of made it to look like OEM. And then the wires over here have wire loom as well. Right underneath the fuse box is where I tapped into that 10 amp fuse. Kind of for a very OEM looking setup over here. And it looks really nice and clean. So when you pop the hood, it doesn't even look like you got the wiring done. Obviously this is an additional part here with the wire loom, but it makes it really clean for a nice clean install. So I'm going to close this up, and then we're going to see I'm going to turn it on, see if it works. And it does. All right. So the VW emblem is officially installed with the light bar, and it looks marvelous.